Hey everybody, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Scary Spikes, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. Today I'll be telling you everything that you need to know about the Crusader Industries Mercury Star Runner. But before we get started, please make sure to like the video if it's helpful to you. Also make sure to subscribe if you're new and to ring the bell so that you never miss a video in the future. Go to sspgaming.com to check out our brand new merch to help support the channel, and make sure to come by the Twitch stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern, as well as our Discord to meet, greet, and play with other community members. Links for all of those in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The Crusader Industries Mercury Star Runner is classed as a medium-sized vessel capable of carrying both cargo and data, though for data that's not something that's been worked into the game quite yet. Looking at the front of the ship, we can see that it's an asymmetrical design in the front with a turret on the bottom matched with a very similar turret on the top. More on that a little bit later. If we move to the side of the ship, we can start to see that the ship starts becoming a little bit more symmetrical in nature, and we can see the three large landing gear, two in the back and one at the nose, as well as the cargo ramp that extends to from the back of the ship. This ship is capable of storing 114 SCU of storage, as well as having many server racks to be able to store data. Again, unfortunately, this is not something that's been worked into the game quite yet, but is due to arrive at some point in the future. When that does happen, the Mercury Star Runner will definitely be a forerunner in the data running category, competing with ships with the likes of the Herald, which is a lighter data runner. I feel like this is actually going to do a much better job and be much better looking doing it as well. It is a fantastic handling ship. Again, it's classed as a medium-sized vessel. It is able to carry quite a bit of cargo as well, like I said, with 114 SCU, and it does have a pretty decent armament as well, with a nice suite of missiles as well as guns to defend itself. And let's have a look on the inside of the ship to see what everything looks like. Moving into the ship here, we can see that we have updated door panels, which I really like. It gives the ship a sense of modernism and really nice feel. The lights are also really quite nice here, where they've gone with a little bit more of a subtle lighting approach inside of the ship with a slight warm hue, which I feel is really inviting and makes the ship just look really contemporary but also extremely modern. When we look into the other parts of the ship here, we can see a lot of the same things. We have individual door panels as well as light switches, and all of these will come on when you turn the ship on. You can also have the doors stay open for you, and that is something that you can change within the actual door panels here, but we can also turn off those sensors, and we can have the doors open automatically for us. Moving into the next area of the ship here, you can see that we have some servers here. Let's try to turn the lights on again. There we go. And these servers, like I said, will be for data running, which is not something that's in the game at the moment, but given how many electronics are in the ship, it is definitely bound to have a much higher EM signature, which will make it a little bit easier to track and a little bit easier to find on radar. We do also have a individual scanning station here. So once we go in here, we can see that there is yet another panel on the right side of the door, and on the left we have the light switch, as is common through the rest of the ship. I feel like this room could have been really utilized quite a bit better, perhaps putting another seat like this into this room and having two scanning stations, but one scanning station should be enough, although I feel like if they're going to go with the one seat, it should really be back here. There's definitely not a lot of usage of space back here, although it does look pretty cool. It's a nice little private space, but I do feel that maybe having two seats there would have been a little bit better of an idea. We do have a very beautiful etched logo here into the wall for the Crusader Industries logo. Now moving on over to this side of the ship, we see that there are two independent seats here. One of them will go up and one of them down, and that's to facilitate the manning of two turrets, which each have two size 3 weapons in it. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail later on in the video. Moving on to wrap up the tour of the ship, we can move towards the bridge here, and again, there is a bit of a wasted space in here, as you can see when we walk in. There's quite a lot of open space here, which is quite nice, but I really feel like they could have utilized this space here a little bit better. If we hang a left here, we can get into the recreation area. And again, we'll just turn on the lights here if we can find the light switch. There we go. Okay, and in the recreation area, we do have a little kitchenette here with something that looks like a microwave, as well as maybe a little oven and an espresso maker built in, with some cups and other types of utensils and kitcheny stuff flying around. We do have a working chessboard. You can actually pick up the individual pieces, as you can see there, by holding F, which is really cool. So if you get bored on those lonely space treks with your friends, you can definitely pass the time by playing a little bit of chess. There's also some comfortable seating here, which looks like leather, and I really do like the contrast of the red versus the white on the walls and the black on the floor, which tend to be the trifecta of colors used by Crusader, and especially ones used for the Mercury Star Runner itself, as this is a common theme through the majority of the ship. Moving towards the habitation area here, again, we'll pop the light switch on and we'll have a look through the habitation area. I feel like this area is actually very, very well designed. There are some packed away elements over here. I wish that this is something that we could interact with in the future and perhaps put some of our gear or spacesuits or weapons away into these bags, but this is really cool. I really like the depth and dimension that you get from looking at these walls and how well everything is packed away. Of course, for realism, we've got some things on the floor as well. We've got some cubbies over here inside the wall, which I feel is a very well utilized space, as well as, again, some built-in cubbies here with some work desks, as well as some drawers that are built into the actual sides of this compartment, which is really quite nice. And we do also have some really nice attention to detail with the different lighting here that we have, and as well as the accent lighting underneath as well, which is really quite nice. And we can see that we also have some non-slip mats here, which is also really quite helpful, and definitely some nice attention to detail. Moving on to the midsection of the cabin here, we can see that we have a switch on the door which reveals a shower as well as toilet combination here, and we do have that on both sides of the ship, or both sides of the compartment, that is, so you can have two people utilizing these at the same time here. And that definitely lends itself to being a really nice multi-crew ship. And even though we can have more than 3 crew on the ship, it looks like we do only have available space for 3 crew members here, 1 over here and 2 just there, as well as 3 cubbies here, which can be opened, but unfortunately nothing yet can be stored in them. As I can see over here, we have some additional space, and I'm not sure if this is storage or not, but I really feel like there could have been additional bunks put in there to make the total space 5 or perhaps even 6, which is definitely something that the ship can accommodate when you consider the fact that you have 2 pilots and you have 2 gunners as well as 1 person scanning. So it's definitely something that they should have thought of, and I really wish that we would have seen at least a capacity for 5 crew in the habitation here, but nevertheless, I digress. We'll move on to the most important part of the ship, which is the very front in the bridge. I really feel like the design of the bridge is absolutely phenomenal. It was very, very well done, although again, the space between the main area there and the bridge feels a little bit wasted, despite looking really, really cool and being able to see some of the grates and wiring and stuff that's exposed inside of here, as well as with some other electronics, it looks like. It is really cool looking, but again, I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of space. But look at this. How beautiful is that? And this is the bridge of the ship, and we have 2 seats, and what's very special about this is that when you sit down, these seats just elevate you to the position that you'll be in when you're flying the ship, which is really quite nice. I really do also like the different electronics up here, all the different buttons, what looks like a bit of a bent iPad over here on the left hand side, which is actually 2 separate screens, which just really makes everything very accessible and easy to use. This is also one of the very first ships that's had some of its buttons assigned to actual buttons or switches that will allow you to do things like open up the ramp and other features of the ship. Okay, so without further ado, let's take off and have a look at the outside of the ship, and then we'll talk about the weapons and components. The Mercury Star Runner is Crusader Industries' first attempt at a spaceship, and what an attempt it is. As we can see here, the rear thrusters look absolutely stunning. The crisp and beautiful lines of the ship are absolutely elegant and stunning. I really also like the design aesthetic of the ship. It is asymmetrical, which is very different from some of the ships that we've seen before. We can see on the very top of the ship that we have a number of different things that are immediately visible, including the top turret, as well as some of the exposed engine components on the top. And we also do have that circular radar dish at the very top on the right-hand side of the ship, which is used for scanning. Looking at the bottom of the ship, we can see a number of different things here. Of course, we do have the cutouts for all of our landing gear, which are 3, 2 in the back and 1 in the front. And of course, we also do have these really nice hidden away slots for all of our missiles. More about that in just a little bit. Overall, I think the Mercury Star Runner is a fantastic ship. It looks incredible, especially in this beautiful snow leopard print that I have on it here. I guess you could call it also a winter camo. It is a paint that you can get off of the store on the RSI's official website. At least you were able to when I purchased the ship, and you may be able to at some point in the future. I really like the way that it looks, although the default skin with the white, red, and black also looks really visually appealing. This is actually my favorite one here. The Mercury Star Runner comes equipped with all size 2 components, which we'll get to in just a moment, as well as a pair of size 3 CF337 Panther laser repeaters on the front, and you can get the same weapons in pairs of 2 on the turret, which is located on the top, as well as on the bottom of the ship. The ship has a very respectable combined DPS between those manned turrets as well as the default pilot weapons, and of course you can always use the size 2 and size 3 missiles, which are located on the bottom of the ship. Alright, so let's talk about some of the components on this ship and my recommendations for how you should upgrade it. If you own the Mercury Star Runner, no doubt you are a very, very happy customer with the ship components that come stock, but you can definitely improve them to increase the ship's capabilities and make it more efficient. You should note as well that the Mercury Star Runner used to suffer with some serious fuel issues, which have since been addressed by CIG, thankfully. It is still a pretty thirsty boy, but it is an incredibly fun ship to fly, and it's really, really fun to upgrade and performs exceptionally well once upgraded as well. Okay, so now that we've made it to the Urkel.game site, we're going to go over all of the different ship components, weapons, and missiles, as well as ammo that come default on the Mercury Star Runner, as well as go over the basic stats. And just so you know, unfortunately, as of patch 3.12.1, the Mercury Star Runner is not available to be purchased either on the Pledge Store or in-game, but it may very well be available at some point in the future, including perhaps at 3.13 or when the C2 Hercules launches, and also maybe around the Invictus launch week, which typically happens around May. Without further ado though, let's get into all the different components and stats of the ship. Keep in mind that you can go into the description of the video to get a link to the website, as well as to my shared loadout if you'd like to follow along and build the same thing as we're building in this video. So, first of all, we can see that we have 880 default DPS with 192 alpha damage. That's coming from our 2 size 3 CF337 Panther laser repeaters. These are on a fixed mount, and unfortunately you're not able to change the mount, but if you do so wish, you can change out for different weapons. So if you feel like you don't like these and you'd prefer maybe some ballistic weapons or some distortion weapons, you can certainly change those out to whatever you desire, as long as it's the same size as whatever the mount will allow. Moving down, we can see that the 2 manned turrets, one on the top and one on the bottom of the ship, do also add 1,760 total DPS to the ship's capable DPS output, with 384 alpha damage included in there. And again, these are fixed mounts and they are not able to be switched out. However, again, if you wish to change the CF337 Panther laser repeaters, you can exchange the pair of those in each of the 2 turrets for something that is more appropriate for you or the situation that you're in. In my current situation, I really like the laser repeaters, especially the Panthers. They're really good. They have a good combination of range and damage, and they don't overheat very easily. So I really like that prospect, and for my playstyle, it's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and keep those. And then we see that we have 22,457 damage in total for all of our missiles here. So this is the first change that we're going to make. Personally, I really don't like to fly with anything smaller than a size 3 missile in a medium-sized ship, because I feel it's a little bit more difficult to get within the minimum and maximum lock ranges, which can be quite tight on size 1 and size 2 missiles when you're flying a ship that's a bit larger, even though the MSR does handle exceptionally well for a ship of its size. So in this case, we can actually change out these missile racks, and if you want more information about their naming conventions, as well as what they mean and what they will allow you to do with respect to your loadout, make sure to go watch my previous video, which talks all about ship components. So as you can see here, we have two different Arrestor 3 missiles sitting inside of a MSD 313 missile rack. Those are absolutely fine. I think that the size 3 Arrestor missiles are absolutely fine. They do 40 to 11 damage, and they are cross-section, which is my preferred missile type. Although I'm not a big fan of the Tempest 2s, and not specifically because they're the Tempests, but because they're size 2s, and you do need to be a little bit closer and have a little bit of finagling trying to get behind your target in order for these to be within lock range. So for my personal preference, I'm going to go ahead and change this out. And again, make sure to watch that previous video if you want to know what these naming conventions mean here. These numbers do actually mean something. So go and check out that video to make sure you learn what that's all about. But I'm going to go ahead and select the 313 here to replace the 322, and then for each of these I'll just go ahead and select the one Arrestor missile for each. Now as you can see, that did decrease our overall missile DPS by a little bit, but I would rather have a slightly lower overall DPS or overall damage output from my missiles, but know that I'm able to lock them from a further distance and have a little bit more flexibility in the way that I engage my targets. So first and foremost, we can see that all of the different components here are size 2, which makes things really easy, and generally you'll find that to be the case on most ships. Usually there's very little chance that you'll have different size components on the same ship. So going forward, we're going to start with the shields here, and we can see that we have these industrial grade C shield generators, which are not really fantastic, but I prefer to go with the FR76 for my first shield, which has a decent shield pool rather. And then we'll also go with, if you can, the Saburon is actually really quite good, but you can only get them from the Banu ship. So if you have a Banu Defender, for example, you can get yourself this shield generator, but you can also just go with one of the others like a Rampart, which is quite good. The combination of the shield pool available here with the really quick regen rate will definitely make for some really good protection. And we see that the actual total amount of shields hasn't changed too drastically. They are just infinitely more efficient than the previous ones, as you can see here, military grade A and industrial grade A as well. Again, if you need more information about that, make sure to check out the previous video. You'll get to learn a little bit more about what these different classes, sizes, and grades of components mean. Moving on, we have the power plants, and the diligence, it's not too bad, but again, it's grade C, so we do want to replace these. Again, I like to go with the military grade and of course the military class, and go with the JS400s. They're a staple that I turn to on a daily basis whenever I upgrade my ships, and they have just never let me down. They have a ton of power output, they don't have a lot of cooling requirement, and they work exceptionally well, and they're very well balanced for what you want to do with a Star Runner. Now the coolers, we'll be upgrading these as well. We're going to go ahead into the military, and we'll be upgrading to Avalanche, although you could go into the snowpacks as well. They're both quite good. The snowpacks will give you a bit more cooling though, so we'll go with the snowpacks. They are a little bit more expensive though, so if you want to go with the Avalanche, you'll probably spend a little bit less money. Now moving on, we have the final component here, which is the quantum drive. Bolon is absolutely terrible, so if you're going to spend any money upgrading the ship, make sure that the first money that you spend is going to be to replace this horrible quantum drive here. And we're going to go to the XL1 if you can afford it. If you can't, go ahead and grab the Crossfield, but I'll go with the XL1 personally, and that's going to be our build. The rest here, we can see that we have radars, which is not something that's really that functional in the game at the moment, as well as our thrusters. And none of these can really be changed at the moment, so we're going to go ahead and just leave those. And now we can see that we have some updated stats for the ship, and you can see that there's a few things that changed, but largely what we're improving here is the efficiency of the ship. So I'm going to go ahead and share this and leave a link in the description below, and let me know in the comments if you have any builds of your own and what you use your Mercury Star Runner for. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and it was helpful to you, please make sure to let me and YouTube know by leaving a like and subscribing if you're brand new. It's free. And also make sure to ring the bell so that you never miss a video in the future. Make sure to join us on Discord as well as on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where we stream the game and help new players live and have a great time doing it. Also make sure to check out sspgaming.com if you'd like to pick yourself up some merch and help support the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.